Hello, everybody. This is Keith Caldwell with Our Special Needs Children as an Our Special Voice. I have with me today Lois Brady, Lois Jean Brady. So hello, Lois.
Good morning. Thank you for coming.
Yes, this is much better than it was on Friday. Again, my apologies to everybody for that. It was, like I said, 100% my fault. But let's dig in. Lois, tell me why you wrote the book and tell me a little bit about yourself and your experience.
Okay, Keith. Once again, thank everyone for coming, and I'm going to give you a little bit of background. I'm a speech language pathologist. I've worked for 30 years now with kids with special needs, and the past 20 years with kids on the spectrum. So I work hands-on. I still work hands-on on a daily basis. So everything that's in the book has been used with the kids, used with my students. Very practical knowledge that's in the book, taken not only from me, but all my colleagues from across the world. I do travel, I do presentations, so I get to talk to people across the world. So it's just filled with all kinds of knowledge from many different perspectives and many different people. As a matter of fact, I actually went out and had many of these other professionals write introductions to chapters and bring in their knowledge. So I thought that was super important, not just to get my perspective, but perspective across the world. And I'm also assistive technology specialist, and that's just one of my specialties. So wrote this book to show everybody out there, iPads are fantastic. Mobile technology is fantastic. It's finally a key to open the door. I struggled for many years to find a way to teach my kids on the spectrum, and when the iPad came out, it was huge key. We're all finding that out now, and the research is finally starting to catch up, and we're getting lots of research studies that show the very same thing. But that's why I wrote it. I just kind of wanted to show everybody, come on, let's do this. Let's get iPads. Let's start teaching our kids.
Hey, Lois, I noticed that the title is called Apps for Autism.
Yes.
Is this a book only for people who have children or adults on the spectrum?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's called Apps for Autism because that's my specialty, and that's where the students, most of my students, about 80% of them are on the spectrum. Those children have attentional difficulties. Those children have sensory difficulties. Those are traditionally the hardest kids to reach. And quite frankly, typical speech therapy is very limited in reaching them. So if you can find something that you can teach kids with autism with, it works fantastically well for kids who don't have attentional difficulties, who don't have sensory processing challenges or auditory processing challenges. So it will work for everybody fantastically well. It just is called Apps for Autism again because that's mostly my kids' focus.
Okay, excellent. So, you've met my son before who's has autism, and he has some significant speech challenges. So some of these apps I've seen personally be very successful for my son. So why don't we dig into a few of them right now? Do you want to share your screen?
Yes, let's go into a few. First, I just kind of want to tell you the book is it's 39 chapters, and each chapter focuses on a different area. So we're going from expressive language to receptive language, to motor control, to just about everything you can think of, parental controls, a therapist toolbox, a parent toolbox, there's accessories. So there's everything you can think of in this book, but I'm going to tell you one of my very favorite chapters, and the kids too, is the one on edutainment. Now, edutainment is taking something that's educational, combining it with something that's entertaining, and bringing the kids next to you. Some of my children are under the table, Keith. I can't get them out from underneath the table. But when I put on one of these edutainment apps, they're right next to me, sitting next to me and learning. And they're fabulous. And I think wherever I go, I don't care if it's halfway across the world, wherever I go, the app that people always talk about is Tokaboka. So there's a group of apps called Tokaboka, and I actually got the CEO of Tokaboka to write the introduction to the chapter. So Bjorn Jeffrey wrote the introduction to the edutainment chapter. He kind of dives into why is edutainment so good and how do we create our apps and why. So that was fabulous. But I'm going to show you one of my favorites from Tokaboka that will kind of help explain the concept of edutainment. So this one is called Tokaboka Hair Salon. And I chose that one because many of our children have significant difficulties wanting to go to get their haircuts. The minute you pull into the parking lot, I know my son just started crying. He knew where I was going, and I didn't even tell him. I tried to sneak it in. So he's not the only one. I hear that from parents and families all the time. I can't get this haircut. Many of my boys have the most gorgeous long hair, not because the parents want it that way. It's because they can't get them to the barber. So this is one of the apps that we're going to screen share here. I'm going to show you. Let me just turn on screen share. And hopefully everyone can see my iPad and hear me as well. We're going to turn on Tokaboka Hair Salon. Is that too loud?
That's all right.
Okay. So this one, you actually get to put a picture in. So I'm going to turn down the music so you can hear me talk a little bit. So this is why this is so good. It's not only a toy, and that's why Tokaboka made these apps. They were originally meant to be just toys. But you can put a picture in, and now it becomes video self-modeling, which is a huge, powerful, let's get this little guy, therapeutic technique. So you get his face, and you put it in. And as you can see on Tokaboka, there's no directions. It's all intuitive, so you get to pick his face shape and move on to the next one. And you get to adjust his smile and his eyes. Move on to the next one. And there he is at the hair salon. So now everything that your child maybe have some apprehension about, he gets to do to himself first. If he doesn't like the buzzer, many children don't like the buzzer, he gets to play with the buzzer and shave some hair off. And I guarantee you, every kid's gonna shave him bald. All my Tokaboka kids are bald. But you don't have to worry because you can grow some new hair. Okay, and you get to hear what the scissors sound like. I hope you can hear that. Sound just like real scissors. So all these things, they start becoming desensitized to it. And then, of course, here's the curling iron. You get to curl some hair and all these different utensils you can use. So they're not only becoming desensitized to the barber, they're learning the language, they're learning the concepts. Here's some colors. You can spray many different colors. Let's choose blue. So you can make him blue. This is fabulous. Or again, there's many different concepts you can put in here, colors, on, off. Then you can go in. And the favorite part is all the kids love to wash their hair. Now you get to wash their hair. So now you can put in a little hygiene. This is the shampoo. Up in the top is the water. Now you can rinse it off. And finally, you get to use that thing that makes a lot of noise, but if they turn it on themselves, it's not quite so scary. It's the blow dryer. And your blow dryer. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now they just play by themselves. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's completely open-ended, so they can go back and forth and do all these things. And finally, if they wanted, they could take a picture of themselves, and that gets stored in the camera roll. And then you can go back and refer to it. Now, we're really going to go to the hairdresser. He's going to use the buzzer. He's going to use the clippers. Not going to turn your hair blue, but it's okay. We're not afraid of that anymore. It's worked. I've had parents come back to me the next day so excited that they want to, you know, their child just went to the hair salon. He hasn't been in years, and he just went and he had a good time. So it does work, especially the one with the picture. There's one that doesn't have the picture. That one's great also, but this one includes the picture of the child. Now we're incorporating video self-modeling. Or he can give dad a haircut, or he can give mom a haircut, his teacher, whoever. It doesn't matter. It's just a lot of fun. It's meant to be a toy. So that's one of the best examples of edutainment out there, is the Tokaboka apps. You can include so many concepts. language, vocabulary, and they're having just fun. It really, truly is just a toy.
Now,
That's my favorite.
do they have one of these, Lois, for going to the dentist? Because my son totally apprehensive about that. Right?
They do. They don't have a Toca Boca, but now that you mention that, they do have one called Ed Meets the Dentist.
Ed Meets the Dentist.
Ed Meets the Dentist. It's in the book. It's I have a chapter on hygiene just specifically for that. So every app out there that is meant for hygiene is in the book. There is a chapter, and Ed Meets the Dentist is a favorite because once again, you get to use all. Let me see if I can get there. Now that you bring that up, Keith, why not, huh?
Yeah. And everybody, if you have questions, be sure to ask your questions in the question box.
Sure. Yes.
And we'll try to make sure we get to those. Oh, Ed the Dentist. There we go.
Ed's a dentist, and he's just a little bunny. And there's a little video beforehand that he watched where Mom says, let's go to the dentist. And Ed hops in the car, and they take the trip to the dentist. So that's a nice little social story. But then once you get there, here's the game.
Let's get started.
So you can see there's his teeth, and below are all the utensils you can use. So we can start with the washer.
The washer will take.
And you can see it washes, and a lot of our kids are kind of apprehensive about the water going in their mouth, anything going in their mouth, and then we can get the straw and suck it all out. Okay, so they get to see and hear the things that are going to happen to them, and it makes it a whole lot less mysterious. As long as they know what's going to go on, they're more likely to accept it and not be quite so apprehensive. And again, it's all visual. You get to see it and hear it, not somebody just telling you the story without the pictures. So this is wonderful. They get to choose their tools, and now once again, you've taught them all the vocabulary, all the concepts, and the nerves are settled. That's Ed Meets the Dentist in the hygiene chapter. Thanks for that, Keith.
Sure. I just know that my son has that one, so that's why I was asking.
Yes. There's other dental apps. That one just happens to be a favorite because that one is, again, it's more like a toy. It's very intuitive, and the kids just enjoy playing it. You don't have to reinforce them. You don't have to encourage them to do it. They just open it up and play. It's very fun. Very fun. So one of the other things that I wanted to talk about on this first webinar that we're having, and I'd like to thank Keith for putting this on, is that within every single device, Apple has put features. And these features, there's over 200 of them, but there's a handful of these features that work for students with autism exceptionally well. They've got features for low vision, low hearing, cognition, and a combination of some of these features will really help with kids with autism. And the one I want to tell you about today is probably one of the most powerful ones. It's called guided access. Okay, and what that does is it locks your child into an app. Now this is excellent for teachers who are very busy with other students, and one child has an iPad, but they don't want them to go on YouTube, and they don't want them just surfing around. So how do you keep your child on one app and have them working on that app? And it's usually a communication app without them clicking the home button and leaving the app and going to YouTube and surfing. Okay, so there is a solution there, and Apple's been very good at building these in. We all have them. It's nothing special you have to add. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to your settings. Okay, and within the settings, there is a section called accessibility. And as you can see, there's vision, all these accessibilities for low vision. There's hearing, there's media. That's excellent for kids who are learning literacy. And then here's one right here, I'm going to put it right in the middle, called guided access. Okay, so we're going to tap that, and we're going to turn that on. Okay, so there it is. Now we're going to set a passcode. And when you set the passcode, do not let your child or your student see you do this. They will remember it, and then they'll be able to break the guided access code. But make it simple enough that you don't forget. So I usually put just something like 1111, but I never ever let the kids see me do this. Okay, so now you've set your code and guided access is ready to go. So we're going to say that we're going to go to, let's choose a communication app. Okay, so we're going into a communication app, but it's time for math, and I don't want my student getting out of his communication app and going to YouTube when it's math time. I do want him to communicate, but I don't want him playing. This isn't a time for playing, this is a time for doing something else. So what I'm going to do is triple click the home button, 1, 2, 3, and here's my guided access page. Now what I can do is down at the bottom right hand, I can set time limits to however many minutes I want. If I want him to be on this particular app for 1 minute, I can set that. If I want him to be on for 1 hour, I can set that. So there's that option. And then there's also an option where I can kill a button. So now I've made that button so he cannot or she cannot access it. Okay, so if he touches activities, it won't do anything. So now we're going to say start, which is in the upper right-hand corner. And there it is, guided access is started. So now your child is able to communicate, but if they touch the home button, they cannot get out because guided access is on. If they touch the activities, it does nothing. But if they touch something like I want, it'll still say it. So he's able to communicate and still do his math. That's called guided access. Again, there's a whole section in Apps for Autism that talks about all the different features that's going to help your child. This one just happens to be one of the favorites among parents and teachers because of the ability to lock a child into an app to put some control on them. Okay, so to get out of it, you just triple click the home button again. Add your code. And then in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to choose end. Okay, so now guided access is ended, and you can hit the home button and get back to your home screen. Now, the really cool thing about Keith doing a webinar is that you can back this up and watch those instructions again and again and again, because it is a little bit difficult and there are some steps to take. Or you can just Google guided access, and Apple has some very nice clear-cut instructions on the web as well as in the book Apps for Autism. They're on there. So that's a fabulous feature. In the future, Keith and I are going to do a show that only covers the features because they really do help you. They take this fabulous device and they make it even better, even easier for parents to use. So that's called guided access.
Hey, Lois, can I ask you a question? We have a question from the audience. Maddie is asking, I'm new to using apps in the iPad. Are there clear steps for implementing app use in the classroom or therapy setting?
Excuse me. Sorry about that, everyone. There are some clear steps. Unfortunately, Maddie, every child in every situation is going to be a little bit different. I have never used it. There is no one set of steps that's going to work for everybody. Some children, you need a lot more structure on the iPad because they're going to want to take the iPad and just go play, 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 skip from app to app. And other children don't do that. So you have like a general set of instructions. And then, you know, just like anything else, it's just like teaching any other skill. You have to take that student, their environment, and what you know about them and use it. So it's just like implementing any other tool. There's no iPad instructions. It's just implementing a tool. What I do recommend is until you know how your student or your child's going to use the iPad is you do start with a lot of structure. You know, the iPad is used from 5 to 5:30. We're going to use this app, this app, this app. I usually use a list when my kids come in for therapy. I write down on the list what apps we're going to use, and then they go down the list and check it off. And that's how I keep my structure. Some kids don't need that. They can come in and I say, okay, this is what we're going to do. I can tell them verbally. But until you know that, I really do suggest implementing a lot of structure because some kids love it so much that they do want to take it and run. And then you just have to go from there. You have to look at your goals and what you need. And, you know, Maddie, all I can do is say everyone is a little bit different, but just use general teaching instructions. It's just a tool. It's just a tool to help you out.
All right. Hey, Lois, do you want to cover a couple of apps? I know that one that was predictable. My sons use. Is that one the one you want to cover today?
Oh, Predictable is fabulous. Now, this is the app. This is a communication app. And this is the app that I really push all of my students to go to. And it's called Predictable. It is a text-to-speech app. However, it still has picture support. So we don't want push notifications. So we're going to turn that off. So Predictable is text-to-speech, very powerful word prediction with picture support. Okay, so Predictable has just done an upgrade, and this is another great thing about apps is once you purchase them, the developers continue to upgrade, and you get all those upgrades for free. Never gets destroyed, never gets thrown in the garbage. You always have the app, even if you delete it off your iPad. Many people think they can't do that they'll lose the app. You still have it. You can delete them, you can put them back on, you can adjust it as needed. But this is the app that I want all my kids to get to because it lets them express novel thoughts. They're not just cotton pictures where the pictures are the only things they can use. I want my kids literate, I want them spelling, and I want them expressing novel thoughts. So we're going to take, you can see the word prediction bar on the top. It's fabulous. Has all the words where you might want to start a sentence from. So we're going to say, hi. My name is Lois. Okay, and then we're going to touch the yellow speaker, and it's going to speak what I just wrote.
Hi, my name is Lois.
Now you can see mine highlighted each and every word because while I use this, I'm also teaching my students literacy. I want them to see each and every word. Most of my students have some sort of auditory processing challenges, and by seeing that they are separate words, it really helps them organize their speech and their language. Now we can go and we can put, one of the favorite things about this, and I'm going to turn it up a little bit because this is actually kind of fun. This is going to let them express a little bit of who they are. So I'm going to write the same thing. Hi, my name is Lois. Now you see that it's a smart word prediction, so it remembers what I'm going to say. My sentence was right there at the first box on in the word prediction bar every single time, so it remembered what I was going to say. And now I'm going to add one of these little emojis, and we're just going to add a laugh. Okay, so now we're going to say the same sentence, but a laugh at the end.
Hi, my name is Lois.
Oh, it didn't add my laugh? Okay, anyway, it's in my settings somewhere. It's my fault. Okay, I'm gonna have to figure that out. Like I say, it just got updated. I'm not sure why I didn't add the laugh. I think maybe because I chose to highlight each and every word, but that's all right. We're not gonna worry about that. We're just gonna move on. And I'm gonna tell you some of the other great features, which is phrases. Now here's where you get your picture support. You can set up these folders in phrases. Here's my favorites. Here's my at-home phrases. And there's your picture support. Now what you're going to do is sit with your students and you're going to type in these phrases with them. You're going to take pictures with them and you're going to store it in these folders. And you're going to personalize this app because it lets you store as many folders as you need to. And even though the emoji didn't work on the first one, you could even put emojis with these phrases. I'm sure that it does work. It's just a setting that I didn't choose right. So there's all your folders and picture support. Now, Keith, I know your son uses this one. How's he doing?
Oh, he loves it. We took a bunch of pictures of his favorite food, his phrases, all of his brothers and sisters, family members. So he's able to communicate much better than he was before. And it hasn't stopped him from, I think that's one of the fears that a lot of people have, is that they'll use it to talk instead of talking themselves, but that's not the case. He sort of follows along with what's being said.
Correct. And that research has proven that. I mean, we all know that from using them, that the kids where we start using these apps with will start talking more because they see the language too. So their speech and language and vocabulary just take off. And now the research is proving that. So don't be afraid to go out and use a communication app. It will not stop your child from communicating. It will give him the things to say and the way to say them. So these are fabulous. And this is one of the best. Like I tell you, you can customize it many, many different ways. The settings section is very large, very vast. Or you don't have to customize it much at all. It's up to you. It's kind of a load and go app. As you can see, there are many phrases already programmed in there. And one of the better uses, not better, but fun uses I found is you can take these and you can send whatever sentence you make to mom, to dad. If it's an older child or an adult, you can put it on social media or send it off in an email. Okay, so that's called Predictable. There is a section on text-to-speech in apps for autism. Predictable is like, it's one of, I'm going to say 5 that I recommend. It's probably my top one, again, because of the picture support.
Hey, I'm going to ask you a couple questions that just came in. I wanted to make sure we address those. And I know there's another app that we're going to cover in a bit that I think is a really great one that might answer some of these questions. So Jen is asking, the book is target for use for what ages?
Hi, Jen. I actually targeted for all ages. I tried to, like I say, there's 39 chapters. So I tried to make it from the very beginning all the way up into young adults going into the workforce. I gave parents a chapter. I gave therapists a chapter. The vast majority of apps available right now are targeted at the younger kids. They still work really, really great for some of our young adults and older folks. They're just, the music and the screens, not quite age appropriate, but sometimes I use them just because that's the skill I'm trying to teach. But this book will cover everything, every age.
Okay. Another question comes in from Jill. Do you know of any apps that are a visual dictionary that include pictures and or video for more complex vocabulary?
Yes, there are, Jen, and the name of it is right on the tip of my tongue. And if I can't remember by the time I'm done talking, I will email it to you later. There's some great apps out there for that. However, my suggestion is to get like an open-ended book app, something like My Story, where you can take a picture and then put in the definition with your students and then create your own dictionary. They can either draw a picture, you can snap a picture, you can do both, and then you can write the definition, and depending if the child or the student is verbal, you can also give an auditory definition, a quick sentence about what that means, and use it in a sentence. And I've created those with some of my young adults. And they're fabulous because they're also emailable. You can take that whole dictionary that you just created and you can email it to whoever's in their family, their mom, their dad, their grandma, and then put it up on the, I'm going to show you where it is, on the iBookshelf. Right here. So this is iBooks. Everyone has iBooks on their iPad. And the dictionary gets stored right there on the bookshelf with everyone else's book and with every book that you've ever bought. So it's really kind of cool for the students to go in, find their dictionary, and open it up. But there are some pre-made dictionaries out there. And I'm going to have to email you the answer to the pre-made dictionary. It's a new one for me, and it's very nice, but I can't remember the name right now.
We have another question from Jen. The question is, I have teens with high functioning autism. Is the book targeted for them? I think the answer to that is yes, for everybody with speech challenges.
Correct, correct. There's some very open-ended apps out there, like I was just telling you about, that you can target anybody with because you can put in whatever picture you want and whatever content you want. And those are in the open-ended book apps, but there's also many other apps that you can customize however you want. So you can do for the very young child or the adult, or grandma who's had a stroke in the hospital. It doesn't have to be a student with autism.
What is that app that we looked at for my son that was just relatively brand new? It was pretty expensive too. Do you remember the name of that one off the top of your head?
Oh, that's Acorn. Yes, Acorn. This is another really nice, brand new out on the market. I love when people take the iPad and they use it in different ways. And this is one of those apps that have done this. It's called Acorn. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Comes out of Australia, and it's a communication app. And what it does is it learns the child, the student, the adult's vocabulary. It will learn who you are and start displaying your personal choices, the things that you choose the most for you. So again, this is fabulous. We're going to start a new sentence. And it's called Acorn because I believe you start with a seed and it grows like an oak tree. And we're going to start with me. You can put in your own pictures. So if it's an adult, you do not have to have these little caricatures. You can put in pictures of them, their family members, okay? So I'm going to say I. Okay, and then here would be my next choices. These are the things that I say the most, okay?
Want.
And then these are the things that I want the most. Again, this app has learned me.
A. Sandwich.
Okay, so there it is. Now, if I could further make this go on to say bologna, turkey, vegetarian, Reuben, whatever kind of sandwich I wanted, and then we just speak the sentence.
I want a sandwich.
Okay, fully customizable. Really great. I find the students, if you heard it, they enjoy the little popping sounds. Those pop, 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 pop. They really enjoy that, and like I said, it is customizable. So no need to have these little pictures if you don't want them. And that is called Acorn. And again, I believe it's because and I don't know this is as a fact, but I believe it's because it starts as a seed and then the tree grows. I created from working with my students on the autism spectrum. I was using communication apps and I could not get their attention. I couldn't draw their attention to the apps, and it was very difficult to get them to use them, only to make requests. Okay, where our students can say more than just requests. So what do my students look at? Well, they don't look at me, but they do look at pictures. They love pictures. So I created this app with the help of Motion Portrait, who does this. Oh, look who that little guy is.
Hey, there's my son.
We'll switch
That was a pleasant surprise.
Is it? Can we use him? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. So here he is. Okay, so kids love looking at themselves, or they love looking at pictures of their dad, their mom. As you can see in this case, we do have Keith's son. I'm going to show you the choices. We have many different choices. You can do line drawings. You can do Elvis, Betty White. There's a president of the United States. You can put whatever you want that's going to motivate your child. So we're going to go back to Xander. And now we can have him talk.
I want.
Let's have him say,
I want an apple.
okay, now the cool thing about this is maybe Xander really doesn't want an apple. Maybe he wants something else, but he can't find the word in there. What he can do is switch it over to the keyboard and write the word. And now he can say what he really wanted in the first place.
I want an apple pie.
Okay. So there's a little icon at the very top right that will switch you from buttons to keyboard very quickly. And I only did that because a lot of times the pictures are very, very limiting. They don't give you a lot of opportunity to teach correct grammar. So I teach my students to go back and forth. The buttons are a little bit quicker. They can express whole thoughts. However, the keyboard lets you express more original thoughts. So now you can go back very quickly. And the kids love it. So they start watching themselves talk, and not only that, but the adults or the other people in their environment just thinks it's hysterical. So now you have this communication environment that everybody's happy and everybody likes, and now the child likes using it. So we've had some great success with this one. And that one is called Inner Voice.
Inner Voice. Now, a question came in earlier that I forgot to ask from somebody here in Rockland. And the question was, is this for apps or for iPads only, or are some of these apps for Android as well, as far as you know?
Okay, so that's a great question. I get that question all the time. Apple has taken the lead in the education department. There's a billion apps out there, and there's a lot of very high quality educational apps, communication apps, therapy apps on Apple. However, many of those developers are also now starting to put some apps on Android. Now, the problem with Android is it's open market, and every single Android device has a little bit, you have to develop the app a little bit differently. So it's more difficult to get your apps up and running on Android. Now, for me, when I wrote the book Apps for Autism, what I did is underneath the app, if there was an Android version to this app, you're going to see the little green Android man. I don't know. I have some, I have some icons where when I talk about the app, underneath the app are some icons. And if you see a little green Android man there, that means there is an Android version. Okay, Android does not have the amount of apps that Apple does, but there are some out there that are really, really good, and they are in the book, yes.
Okay.
Answer that question.
Just seeing if there's any other questions that came in here. We'll make sure we address them. Nope, we have all the questions that come in. So guys, we're going to be wrapping up relatively soon because we didn't want the webinar to be too long. Lois, do you have something else you want to show us?
I do. There was one other app I wanted to show you that as a speech therapist, and this is a very speechy app.
A very what app?
Speechy app. It's very technical.
Okay.
However, anyone can use it, but it's developed off of speech therapy principles, mostly for children with apraxia. Okay, so therapy for apraxia is usually watch what I do and then you do it. You imitate it. And that is traditionally how speech therapists try to work with students, adults, rehab, people with apraxia. That's fine and that works. However, when you have someone on the spectrum, they're not going to look at you. That model doesn't work anymore. Look at me and then do what I do. That model is very difficult for someone who's on the spectrum. What do they look at? We know what they look at. They look at their iPads. So here is a therapy that would not even exist if it weren't for the iPad. I'm going to show you what it looks like. And again, it's targeted at folks with apraxia. And you can see it has 5 levels, starting at syllables and going to sentences. I'm going to show you just the word list. And what they do is they look at this word, and then they're going to see a model say it slowly.
Up.
And now she's going to say it regular speed.
Up.
And then it's going to go on to the next word. Okay, now you're going to say, oh, this is very simple. My kids love it. A lot of them, I will find them looking at this app. They are fascinated. They pick it up and they put it like 2 inches next to their eyes, and they study it and they study it, and almost instantly they start trying to move their mouths the correct way. Couple cool side effects I found is, number 1, my students are also learning how to read. Bless you.
Thank you.
They're learning to read, so after they watch this a couple of times, they may say eat before the model prompts them to say eat. So I'm teaching them to read. They love it. And the next best thing is we've built a bridge between looking at the iPad and looking at me. They start being able to look at me now after watching a mouth on the iPad. They're looking at my mouth. They know where my sound's coming from. And believe it or not, they start wanting to put their fingers in my mouth and see my tongue and you know, get into my mouth. And they're like 2 inches from my face watching me talk. So I built a huge bridge now. I got the kids looking at me. I don't need this app anymore. I can do traditional apraxia therapy. So again, this is something that would not even exist if we didn't have mobile technology. So the iPads have just given us so many more ways to get in and support our kids, to help our kids, to teach them things. Keith and I have a whole list of topic areas to go over: video, modeling video, self-modeling, apps for older kids, apps just for communication, features. There's just so much to know about this, and you don't have to learn it all in one day. Just one thing at a time. That's how I did it. Just one new thing a day, and just follow your kids. They'll take the lead. I've learned my best therapy techniques from just observing my kids. I've had kids go in and type in the word banana in a text-to-speech and then practice saying it over and over again. Oh my gosh, that's something I didn't think of. They thought of that all by themselves, and now I use it as a therapeutic technique for articulation and apraxia. So again, just watch them. Let them take the lead. They want to learn, and they realize that the iPad is a way for them to learn.
What was the name of this app again, Lois? The one we're looking at now?
Oh, I'm sorry. This one is called, let me see if I can get back to the, yes, Vast Autism Core.
Okay.
And we call it core because it focuses on core words and core vocabulary. So you're going to say the word hi or my, many times a day. This app doesn't have words like igloo, which you may never say. It has high frequency core words that you're going to be able to practice and say on a daily basis many times throughout the day.
Right, right.
And something else I didn't show you, which is kind of cool. One last thing here. It does have a mirror feature.
A what feature?
A mirror.
Oh,
so you can turn the mirror on and the kids can practice in the mirror. And that again is just a
oh, that is cool.
Yeah, a therapy technique that speech therapists use for apraxia as they see themselves working through some motor planning. They love it. Oh my gosh, they love looking at themselves in the mirror. So after they practice a couple times, we turn on the mirror and they get to practice in the mirror. So it's therapy, which used to be hard. You used to have to drag your kids in and reinforce them like crazy, give them Skittles and chips and M&Ms and all kinds of stuff like that. We don't need to do that anymore. The kids like to come and they like using the iPad.
They do.
It's fun now. It's fun for us too, because who wants to bring someone into therapy kicking and screaming? So that was the last app I wanted to show today.
No, that's
Keith and I have many different topics and categories, and I think we're going to be every fourth Friday, Keith?
Yeah, we're going to do this every fourth Friday at 9 a.m. So the next one is August 28th at 9 a.m. And the topic, Lois, is going to be expressive language. Why don't you explain to them what they can expect to get there?
Yes, I think we're going to go over just specifically expressive language apps, because initially that's where people were buying the iPads like crazy, was to help their child, their student, with expressive language communication, whether they're using it to talk for them or using it to learn how to talk. There's, believe it or not, we've come up with like 3 different groups of apps now: grid style apps, video, and now you got a couple of your hybrids out there that are using more of the power of the iPad. So there's different kinds of communication apps out there, and we're just going to hit the high points to help you decide, well, maybe what's best for my child or my student, or maybe a combination. I always use a combination of different apps, and my kids are so smart. They know each and every one. They know how to talk. Many of my kids have found that Google image searches are now their communication app.
Ah.
Boy, just the other day wants water, but he didn't want water in a cup. He wanted water in a bottle. Nobody understood that. So he went to Google, typed in water bottle, hit images, and came over and showed us.
Wow. That's communication, Lois. That's communication.
You wanted a water bottle, that was fabulous. He got it immediately. He told us what he wanted.
No, that's awesome that we'll do that. My son, I learned that my son is a very good speller, and all of a sudden, I asked him, hey, Alexander, what are you saying here? Because I couldn't quite understand him, and he went and spelled the word out, and I was like, wow, this is great. I mean, our kids have challenges with communication, And any way that we can get them to be able to communicate, have functional language, I think is important. You know, I realize, Lois, and hopefully you're able to do this pretty quickly, we never used a feature matching checklist. Can you walk us through that real quick?
We didn't. So there's like I said, there's a billion apps out there, a billion plus now, and even just plain communication app, I think there's 300 to 400 that's growing on a daily basis. So what we do is we call, in assistive technology, we call it feature matching. What does your child need, and what does the app have? So in order, and there's tons of features. There's hundreds of features also. So I strip them down to only bring out maybe what's the most important features. And we have this feature matching checklist that will help you walk through what are the most important features to my child, to me, and does this app have them? No app is going to have them all, but if you can round it off and find, well, this one has 5 features that I really love, and this one only has 2. Maybe that's my better choice. So we have like data tracking. If you're a parent, you probably don't care about that. If you're a teacher or a therapist, oh my God, that's super important. And if I can get an app to do my data tracking, that's the app I'm going to choose. Voice output. If you have a student on the spectrum, you're going to want a really high quality text-to-speech voice. The recorded voice, just like our voices, are still very difficult for them to understand if there's auditory processing. They tend to like text-to-speech. It needs to be a high quality text-to-speech because if it's one of the older ones, it's still difficult to understand. You have a child with Down syndrome, they love mom's voice, dad's voice, brother's voice. So that really, it makes a difference. On the spectrum, it's got to be high quality text-to-speech. Something else, Down syndrome, maybe a recorded voice. Some apps have the ability to choose. Okay, can I choose text-to-speech or recorded? That's important. Customization. I find my kids love to put their own pictures in, the pictures of their own backpack, pictures of their own cup. That really helps to keep it in context. You're teaching backpack, you're showing someone else's backpack, that may be out of context. It's maybe difficult for some kids to understand. So you're going to want to be able to customize these things, and maybe, you know, their own shoes. So customization features, and you can see there's a lot of different things to look at for customization. Animations, can I spell, can I put my own sentences in, so on and so forth. Sensory, visual and sound. You know how we get those little reinforcers or the music that plays in the background? That may be overwhelming. Can I turn it off? Can I turn that childish music off because I'm working with young adults?
Right.
To know that. Do I have to have the little explosions come out every time he gets the right answer? Oh my God, that's annoying to me. I turn that off. So you gotta want to know, can I turn those things on and off? Self-monitoring, I just showed you how VAST had a mirror that the child could then turn and self-monitor himself. Wow, now I'm teaching him something. I'm teaching him how to go out and by himself monitor his own speech production. Okay? Some apps have recording. You can record into it and then play the recording back and monitor yourself that way. Is there something in there that teaches the child to be independent and monitor his own productions? Typing apps are fabulous for that. Like the one we're showing you earlier, Predictable. It has a self-monitoring feature. Matter of fact, anything that's iOS, if it comes out spelled wrong, it's underlined. And you got to go back and fix it. That's self-monitoring.
Right.
So that's fabulous. Make sure you know your app has a feature that's self-monitoring. Can you share it? So you've created this wonderful thing. Oh my gosh. Here I am, I'm in therapy, my child has done this brilliant thing today. I really want to show mom and dad. Is there a way for me to share that? Just click a button and I'm sending it off via email. For a therapist, that's important, and even for parents, so they can show school what's going on. It's a really nice way to communicate back and forth with parents, so that either they're coming home from, coming to school from home or vice versa. I can say, oh my gosh, this is what you did this weekend. I know your son just learned to ride a bike. You rode a bike and here's a picture of it. Let's talk about it. You know, it's powerful, powerful. So can you share those little moments?
I know when Xander put together that book, he was able to send me a book. We'll cover that app on a future episode, I'm sure, but there was an app where he created his own story. Within minutes, he was working with it independently. I was able to hit the share button, and I saw his work. I mean, that's just tremendous. So that's a good
and motor skills. Many of our kids on the spectrum will fine-tune their motor skills. They may not initially be able to slide and tap and do all that, and they may be stimming on it, but they will fine-tune those skills. If you've got someone who has cerebral palsy, they're not going to be able to do that. So you're going to want to make sure that the app is comparable to their motor skills. If they have to slide, then you're going to want to make sure that the child can slide or tap. So you really have to be careful. Again, not so much with autism, but with some other challenges, especially the motor challenges. Can your child actually do the app? And then the prompting. Is there prompts? So he didn't get it right. Does it prompt him to the right answer? Or does it just go, try again? Mm-hmm. So within a lot of the apps, I'm thinking specifically of some typing apps, if the child continually hits the wrong letter, the right letter kind of glows, and then that prompts him to the right letter. So is that built into the app, or does he need an adult sitting next to him saying, try this one, or pointing at something? And again, some of those are built in, so your child can be a little more independent. So those are just some of the features that we have found. There's a category for price. A lot of people get really proud that they got the lowest priced apps in the market, but you might not be doing your child any favors by doing that. Make sure the features match, not the price tag. They're relatively inexpensive, and compared to a board game or a stack of flashcards, they're comparable, but they never go away. They don't get ripped. They don't get torn. They get updated on a regular basis. So, don't worry too much about the price, especially when it comes to the communication app. Some of them do go as high as $200. That's okay. This is going to help your child communicate. Oh my gosh, that's worth $200.
No, you don't have to sell me. I'd pay anything to help my little guy talk more effectively.
Correct. So, I don't want to cut corners there.
No, and I think that's the consensus of anybody who's watching this as a parent, and they're an involved parent, and parents who, people who are going to do whatever it takes to work with their child. I think that goes without saying. So we wanted, and I think everybody has received that features matching checklist. I'm not going to say that 3 times fast, but you should have already got it, and we just wanted you to use it as a tool to sort of help evaluate some of these apps that we've talked about today, as well as other ones that you're considering. So you have some starting point, frame of reference to be able to see, is this a good fit for my son or daughter, or should I look at something else? I think that's the whole purpose of
right.
that. Now, I know we've got a ton of things to cover in future ones. I'm excited about our upcoming video self-modeling one, where I think we're going to get Dr. Tom Buggy out of Penn State University on. Is it yet Penn State, or was he at Penn State or something like that? One of those, and he's going to talk about video self-modeling, because I think that's a tremendous asset. If you don't know what it is, it's sort of having your son or your daughter be the model for a successful thing, seeing themselves be successful at something. So I'm excited about that one. I'm excited about a lot of these things that are coming up. So Lois has got a whole bunch of experts herself, as well as others, who are going to talk about various speech-related topics to help our kids, have better communication, decrease behaviors, and be more confident socially. Right? Is that sort of like the gist of what we're trying to do?
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I say, there's so many different areas that the iPad can be helpful with. And one of the areas people think, oh my God, they're going to get the iPad and that's all they're going to do. That, again, just like communication, it's quite the opposite. It makes them more social. You wouldn't think that. It seems like it would go the other way, but absolutely not. Now they're playing Angry Birds, Temple Run, like all the rest of the kids. They're excelling. They're better. Now all the other kids are coming over and watching them play. Now they're sharing their iPad with the rest of the class. Keith, when has that ever happened? It's never happened to our kids. Right. So this is fabulous. Now they're the star, and the other kids are coming over wondering what they're doing.
And Lois, I can tell you that's true, because my son always has his iPad now. Not always in the communication apps, but he plays a lot of Pac-Man. That kid is an expert. I think his record's like almost 100,000, and he's moving much quicker. It's like, how does he do that? But our kids focus on certain things. They hyper focus on certain things, and he's hyper focused on becoming the best person ever at Pac-Man. So that's sort of exciting to see. And everyone's sort of circling around him, watching Xander do his thing. And so it's a cool thing. The iPad is much better than having that big, huge, whatever that big, huge device he had was for communication. This big, old, huge, cumbersome 20-pound box that he hated lugging around, that wasn't socially acceptable.
We're not naming any names.
We're not naming any names. That's right.
Name, but you know who they are.
So I want to leave with this last couple comments here. For those who are professionals, and you know who you are, if you're looking for continuing education credits, send me an email and we'll figure out what we need to send you, or Lois knows what to send you, so that you guys can get credit for participating in today's webinar. Went a little longer than we thought, but we believe that we gave you guys some good content and gave you some good ideas. And for those who are like me, who are watching all the things that were on Lois's iPad screen, there was a bunch of apps that you saw that we didn't cover. I'm sure you're going to be doing your own research on, and using the feature matching checklist. God, I have a hard time with that one, to help evaluate that. So Lois, do you have anything you want to finish with today?
No, I just thank you for coming. It's been great. We're looking forward to having more. Bring your questions, even your own experiences. We love to hear them. We love those stories. Those success stories are fabulous. Every time I hear one, I get this big internal smile, because I can connect it to some kids that I have. So we just love hearing them.
That reminds me, there was a gentleman, I'm not going to say his name, he wasn't able to make today's episode, but he had brought up the suggestion of us doing a webinar on adults with speech challenges. So a lot of this is we're talking about as our kids. I have an 11-year-old, but my 11-year-old might have speech challenges when he's 30, 35. So some of these apps we're talking about are applicable for that. So I think we're going to do a webinar in the future that is more geared towards adults who are having speech challenges. Would you agree with that, Lois?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because like I said, the vast majority is geared towards kids. We have to be a little more creative when we work with adults. And there are things out there. There's a lot of things out there for them. It's just we need to be a little more creative. Not as easy.
All right. Well, Lois, thank you for joining us today. Thank you, everybody, for watching us out here. And again, I'm going to apologize one last time for last Friday's fiasco. That was 100% on me. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. And buy Lois's book. It's a great resource for you to have. Thank you very much, and I'll see everybody on August 28th at 9 a.m. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.